First of all, just want to just offer our thoughts and prayers for all the people in this state that are really, devastated right now. It's kind of trivial, to be honest with you, coming in here to talk about football. You got a lot of people trying to figure out where they're going to sleep, and a lot of people lost their lives. There's a lot of devastation in this state, and I know that our governor and everybody else in our state is working hard to try to get some relief to a lot of people. Just a crazy storm, and so just want to offer our prayers to all those people out there who are struggling today. We're very fortunate and blessed to be able to do what we do and be able to come in here and talk about a football game. But hopefully we'll have some good perspective, and we can do something to help those people. Our Georgia Tech is obviously our next goal as far as what we're trying to do with our season, just trying to get the next game. That's really what we're trying to do. Our next goal for the season is win the division. So as we get back into ACC play, really the rest of the way until the last game. So we've got a lot of work to do to achieve that goal. And the only way we're going to get that done is to continue to do what we do. And that's put every ounce of what we got into each and every opponent. Clemson, Georgia Tech is obviously a game that has a big history. They're always a difficult team, and as well a coach team as we play each and every year. So for us, just a critical week of preparation as we dive into these guys. Offensively, for them, they're always a challenge. For us, for our defense, they just do a great job. They've got a few different formations this year, but the big thing for us is our keys, everybody doing their job, tackling well. Same old thing when you're getting ready to play these guys. Leveraging the football. They're explosive. When you think of Georgia Tech, when you hear the word explosive, people think of, big plays down the field and things like that. These guys are explosive in a lot of ways. They've had 28 touchdowns, and 12 of them 2 minutes or less. You just think about that. 12 touchdowns, 2 minutes or less. That's what they have the ability to do. So you better be very, very disciplined with your alignments, with your angles, with your eyes. It's just that simple. Everybody has to do their job. That's the thing that always, you kind of hold your breath when you play these guys. And then they play 4 downs. This isn't a 3-down game defensively. You better be ready to play 4 downs. It's just what they do. They don't punt a whole lot. So a little different in that regard. Defensively, they're very experienced. I think they got 15 seniors and juniors in their 2 deep, and they kicked our butt last year. It's just that simple. We were pathetic offensively against this group last year. 2 pick sixes, and really put our defense in a bad situation in this game last year. So, and all those guys are back. 6 of their front 7 are back. I think this is a really good secondary that is well coached. They do a great job technically. They do a great job as far as route reading and breaking on things and leveraging the ball. They get their hands on balls. So it's a good group, a really good group. And so, again, for us, it's just doing what we do. I'm proud of our team. Obviously, it was we want to be 4-0. That was a goal, is to be 4-0 at this point. But 4 games don't make a season. Our goals are much bigger than that. And so, literally one day, 1 week, 1 game at a time is what we got to do. And, today's a huge day as far as our preparation, our scout teams, just critical that we get the right looks. And, we'll do a good job getting those guys prepared this afternoon to give us the good looks. But look forward to it. It's always good to be back in the Valley, and maybe we'll have a little sunshine this weekend. Who knows? But 3:30 kick, and then the last thing I would say is once again just appreciation to our fans for people who showed up and embraced the situation last weekend. It was it was electric. And, we need that same type of enthusiasm this weekend as we take on a very tough Georgia Tech team.
Dabo, you had the last game prior to this one, 4 days between games and 16 days between games. How beneficial to you guys to finally get back into your regular routine?
Well, I said that the other day is it's good to get some normalcy with our preparation. It's been a very different start. It really has. We've really only had one normal week, and that was getting ready for App State, and we're going on our 5th game, and so that's been a strange, start to the season. Very odd, for a lot of reasons. First of all, camp was different this year because we had a whole extra week of school. We have not had that. We played a week later. That was a very different camp for us, getting ready for Wofford. Then we had a normal week for App. Then you got, 3 days, and then you're traveling on a Wednesday to Louisville. Then you're off 16 days, and then you play in a hurricane. It's been a strange, really strange, start to our season. We got 8 weeks, and it's great because you just hope that we can kind of get in the rhythm, in the flow of the season. I mean, we sat at home for 2 Saturdays and watched everybody else. Just a unique deal, but I think we've managed it well. Obviously, we're 4-0, found ways to win, but hopefully we can get some rhythm. Hopefully we can get some continuity, and start kind of putting our Mondays and Tuesdays and Wednesdays in sequence here. Our best football's ahead of us. There's no question. I mean, that's probably the thing I'm most happy about is we're 4-0. But we're really, we haven't even come close to playing our best game or our best football. I'm excited about that. We gotta finish better. Our last 2 games we've had double-digit leads in the fourth quarter, and we've let people back in the game various ways, and we gotta correct that. We got to put people away, and so hopefully we'll improve in that area as we go.
Georgia Tech their season's sort of gotten a little sideways on them with 3 consecutive losses. I'm assuming that 2 and 3 maybe doesn't best describe what they are.
No, heck no. You better be ready to play Georgia Tech. I'm just going to tell you. They lost at Notre Dame. Yet let's not forget Notre Dame was the 5th ranked team in the country. And they're still really, really, really good. And it's 16-7 in the fourth quarter up there, if you watch the game. And Georgia Tech had a really bad turnover, I think, on kickoff return right there. They got after them guys at their place. I know the score, got away right there at the end, but, it was 16-7 in the fourth quarter. And Georgia Tech had made some uncharacteristic mistakes that hurt them in that game. And then, they lost to North Carolina, North Carolina's probably in the lead in the Coastal right now. What are they, 4-1 or 5-1 or something? That's a solid football team. And Duke's got 1 loss to Northwestern, who's undefeated. So, they've played good people. Georgia Tech's a really good football team. I mean, we have a ton of respect for their program and who they are. The record has nothing to do with it.
Coming off of a win of that caliber this past Saturday, maybe somewhat human nature to have a little bit of a letdown the next week. Do you like where your team is right now to avoid that? And does it help that you're playing a Georgia Tech team that got you last year?
If we have a letdown, we're going to get our butts kicked. I'll tell you that. But it's really not I have not really seen that in the fabric of our culture, if you will. We've been a very consistent football team, regardless. We haven't lost a lot of games, but when we have, we've come back and played well. I mean, that was the rhetoric last year when we lost to Tallahassee. Oh, well, how are you going to get the team back? I mean, it's so devastating. They mentally spent. It was the storyline. Oh, God, they just – the loss is going to beat you twice. That garbage that people try to pour out there. And, we won 9 out of 10 to finish the season and won the next week. And then it was the flip side. We beat South Carolina, and the rhetoric was, well, the season's over. They did something that they haven't done. Deshaun Watson's out. Their quarterback stinks. They can't – they're playing Oklahoma. Well, we played the best game of the season against Oklahoma. So, hopefully, we've demonstrated consistency regardless of whether we've had success, whether we've had failure, whatever. We've had other big wins around here where we've come back and played well. Our expectation is what I tell you guys all the time is it's a one-game season. It is a season of its own. That's what I laugh every week, when I have to sit down and do the poll stuff and I kind of look and see what everybody's done. It's just hilarious because, in the talking heads, it's everybody, they just proclaim this is what's going to happen after 3 games or 4 games. It's just done. I mean, well, this is just going to happen. This team's there and this team's in. You forget you got to play the games, and it's just crazy. And so that's why I say that every week. It's a season of its own every single week. Every week. And you evaluate that season. And then you figure out who's this and that. And at the end of the year, then you got a consensus. But that's just what we do. I mean, that's just the way we do things. We put everything we got into every single opponent. We don't practice any different. We don't meet longer. We do exactly the same thing, whether it's Notre Dame or Wofford or whoever we play. And, that's our mentality. And I think that it's important that you have that type of structure because you are dealing with young people. And it is human nature. And that's why we put so much emphasis and effort on having a very systematic, plan of preparation as far as what we do on a daily basis. And we don't vary from that, regardless of any success or failure that we have.
Coach Venables, the first year he was here, before we ever asked him a question after the Georgia Tech game, he walked up and said, "Thank goodness that's over." As a coach, can you describe facing this Georgia Tech team because they're somewhat unconventional and they seem to kind of do things to football teams that nobody else really does as far as going for it on 4th down more and picking up those I mean, from your perspective, how frustrating can it be facing these guys?
Well, they're just, they do something that very few people do, and that just makes it difficult. I mean, they run the option. I see a lot of teams out there these days that line up and run the triple option every single play. We run some triple option. We just do it a different way. There's a lot of teams running the triple option, but they do it out of the spread. The quarterback can hand it, keep it, or throw it. That's triple option. There's 3 different things that can happen. The first play of the game that went for 40 yards by Deshaun was a triple option. It was a package of 3 things. And, so it's just a different way of doing it. Their style of play is tight splits, cut you, guys arcing out, violent, misdirection all over the field. The quarterback is in control of it, just like our quarterback is. It's just a different presentation. And so you don't see it a lot, so it makes it difficult. They stretch the field horizontally and vertically, and they create, one-on-one matchups. Everybody has to do, you don't get a lot of swarming. It's one guy, all of a sudden he comes inside, he's supposed to be outside, and, they go for 30. Chunk plays, as I said, 12 of their 28 touchdowns, 2 minutes or less. Just think about that. It's almost, not quite 50%, but almost. That's the explosiveness, and that's just because of discipline. you have to be incredibly disciplined when you play, option football. And then when you're playing against a Paul Johnson team, I mean, listen, heck, he came out of the womb coaching option football. I mean, this guy, he just, you better, he's got answers. He has answers. And throughout the course of the game, you better have some change-ups, because if you got one pitch, he's going to hit it. I don't care how fast you're bringing it in there, he's going to hit it. So you better have, you better come with a Greg Maddux plan. You better have multiple pitches, if you will, because they're just so well coached and have such a great understanding of what they do. It's just, he's been doing it a long time. So, turnover margin is critical. If you turn the ball over against these guys, you usually lose, and that's what happened to us last year. Their offense didn't even have to score. We gave them 14 points on pick sixes. Give them credit for that. They picked the ball off, played great defense, and so possessions, field position, turnover margin. When you play option football, it's just it's a stressful thing. There's a lot of stress, but the positive is we see them every year. We played Wofford already. We spent 2 weeks of camp working option football, which was also different, to the start of our season, because of who we were playing out of the gate. Then you play an app team, which is 4 wides all over the field. Then you flip around and play a Louisville team. So I think our guys are prepared. We got some veteran guys that have seen these guys. We just got to go play well. Just like every week, you got to play well. We're not good enough to just show up and win. We have to play well, regardless, each and every week.
Looking even right now?
I think they're both, playing at a high level for us, and we kind of look at those guys as kind of interchangeable. I think that Scott's done a heck of a job. I mean, they're a little different. They bring some different things to the table, which is a great thing. That's kind of what we've always had with our defensive line. We've always had good versatility and different skill sets. But they all have had one thing in common, and that's toughness and the ability to get after the other line of scrimmage there.
Other than that spot, pretty much the entire rest of the defense played 60-plus snaps. Is that just reflective of the game plan, or how do you develop more depth going forward?
Well, that's not a lot of snaps, to be honest with you. It's not a lot of snaps at all. And there's been some comments that our guys were tired in the fourth quarter. No, being tired has nothing to do with doing your job. I mean, it's one thing if a guy just gets beat on a competitive play, he's gassed or something, but it's another thing when you just absolutely bust. I mean, you just absolutely don't do your job. That has nothing to do with being tired. We didn't play that many plays. 60-something plays isn't a lot of plays. Heck, we got offensive linemen playing 80-plus plays. Nobody ever asked about the offensive line. I don't know why it's any different. But we do have to develop some depth, that's for sure. And I think we're in the process of doing that. I mean, we played 2 games and played a lot of people. And then we have had 2 games that have come down to the last play. So, that's just the way it is. You play your best people in critical situations. That's what we've done. Last year, I mean, our team was built a little differently defensively because we had, we had 6 guys that went to the NFL off the D-line that are gone now. And we just had all these guys. They were just all equally experienced and all talented, and we just played them. Shaq was in and out with Vic. We're just built a little differently, and we knew that coming in. But we're gonna get there. We got a bunch of guys that right now there's not a lot of conversation about, but by the time we get done with the season, a lot of these guys, will have their moments. I don't have any doubt about it.
Yeah, but a lot of people asked me last night, speaking of depth and stuff, were asking me about DJ. When's he coming back, and if not, is there a plan to redshirt him?
No, there's no plan to redshirt him. He's going to graduate in December. There's no plan to redshirt him. Not sure when he's going to be back. really nothing else to say.
4 games into the season, what would you say is this team's offensive identity, especially compared to last year?
Well, we've shown we can do whatever we need to do to win. I think coming into the season, the biggest question mark was, or at least from you guys, was our offensive line. That was going into the game the other night. Notre Dame has the greatest offensive line in America, and we're going to have a hard time getting a first down with our offensive line. And the beautiful thing about that game is how the game plan changed. Because going into the game, we felt like it was going to be our first opportunity to really attack people through the air. And but obviously, a hurricane can change things a little bit. And so our ability to run the football through these first 4 games has been impressive. It's been very, very impressive because that was the one question mark coming into the season. Are we going to be able to line up? I mean, you rushed the ball for 200-something yards against Louisville, which is a good front, a really good front. I mean, we ran for 50-something yards last year on them. We ran for 200-something yards. Our backs gone back-to-back 100-plus yards. When's the last time that's happened? Maybe he got 100-plus in the bowl game. I don't know.
He actually did it back-to-back last year.
Okay, but it's just the establishing that, and you got a group 5 linemen last Saturday night. None of those guys are returning starters. None of them. 0, and a true freshman at left tackle. So we can't hold up. We're not this, and all we did is run the ball when everybody knew we were running the ball. 3rd and 2, a 21-yard yard for a touchdown by Deshaun. And he barely even got touched. Man, that's hatting people up. 7, 8, 9-man boxes, and still we've been able to run the football. We've had some different type of unique situations, based on the way the games have played out. These last 2, the first 2 games, we just controlled the game, and they were over quick. But the Louisville game, we to be able to run the ball like we did on the road was impressive, but what we did against Notre Dame in the trenches, very few negative plays, no sacks, really excellent job. Our quarterback has had back-to-back huge games rushing the football. So, I mean, to me, that's the storyline of our team right now is what everybody thought was going to be the weakness has become a strength for us, and that just bodes well. Because the one thing that I am not worried about is our ability to throw and catch football. That's the best thing that we do. And we just haven't had really the opportunity yet to really demonstrate our full potential. But I see it every day on the practice field. I mean, we go against pretty good defense. Everybody likes to brag about our defense. Well, we practice against them every day. We do one-on-ones against them every day. We do 7-on-7 against them every day. We do team pass, good on good every day. And so, I know what we're capable of doing at quarterback, receiver, tight end, running backs in the passing game. And as we go through the season, that will show. We'll flex those muscles. Right now we just haven't had to get into a whole lot of that. Again, but first 2 games we did what we needed to do. Had some big plays in the passing game. Deshaun's doing great, played well. Made a couple nice plays in the passing game the other night that we needed, but there wasn't a lot of the chances we took. We threw one across the middle and the ball gets tipped up, and into that. So we kind of kept everything safe when we did take some shots, and they didn't hit anything downfield either. What they hit was underneath, and they did hit the one wheel route, but that was a complete bust. About as easy a play as you can have, fundamentally, and we just fell asleep. Maybe it's you got a big lead, they haven't moved the ball the whole game, and now all of a sudden you don't do your job. And again, just like in Louisville, one play, you can change the momentum.
Kind of explain the Beaver Award, how it got its name, and what it meant for Ammon to win it.
We started the Beaver Award, I guess a couple years ago, and it was actually something that I got from Pete Carroll. I can't remember. Maybe I don't even remember what they may have called it. I can't remember what they called it, to be honest with you. But I read his book a couple years ago, and it was a great book. It was just something that we put a lot of emphasis on turnovers. Like today is Tanoga Tuesday, and I'll come in here this afternoon, and every Tuesday it's Tanoga Tuesday, and we put up our video of the day is turnovers, takeaways, and we take all the NFL turnovers from the week and we show them, and we show special teams, and it's just an emphasis that we make on our football team. And all you got to do is look. I mean, when we win the turnover margin, we win 90+% of the time. And when we lose the turnover margin, we win like 40% of the time. It's not that we can't win, but, I like those odds better. And turnover margin is a combination of everything. It's special teams. Special teams' job is to get the ball back. It's to create field position. Special teams' job is to score, and it's also to protect the ball. They kind of have a little bit of everything. Defense, it's, hey, get the ball back. Get the ball back. That's what they do. Offense, get the ball back and score. Or protect the ball and score. So it's a combination of everything working together. And so today's Tanoga Tuesday. That's what we do. The Beaver Award is, you think about a beaver kind of, somebody's got to lay that first log, right? Somebody's got to lay it down and you start, building it. And you think about a beaver, they're always working and just, they're busy, they're just chopping all the time. And that's what we need, that mentality. And so what we do is whoever gets the first interception or whoever calls the first fumble that we recover, that's who the Beaver of the Week is. And we got a little stuffed animal, and they get to hang on to it for the week, and we have fun on Mondays, giving it out. But and we have arguments. In fact, the very first game, I screwed it up. We played, was it Wofford? I think it was Wofford. It might have been App, but the first interception of the game was actually J-Ron, and in the back of the end zone. Can't remember what game it was now, but was it App? Okay, and then the second interception was somebody, and I was like, gonna give Beaver, and J-Ron he took offense to that, so they all, that's something they think about, and so they're always stripping at the ball. I mean, you look at the game and you watch Christian Wilkins late in the game sprinting down to chase the quarterback, and man, he chops at that ball. We didn't actually get that. We actually caused 6 fumbles, but we only got 3 of them, or 2 of them on the fumbles. And then you look at J-Ron at the goal line, getting in there, punching the ball out. I mean, it's just something we coach. It's something we put an emphasis on because it's critical, to being successful in the game of football. So anyway, that's what it is. And so Ammon didn't actually recover the fumble, but he caused it. And so it's the first time in the history of the Beaver Award for us that we have given it to a kicker. So we were really happy to do that and had some fun with that yesterday.
How good was it for Ammon and, all that he's been through and had to get back to, and for him to, to make a play like that in his first game back?
It's great. It's great. Really, really good for him, and good way to get back to work. And make his presence known. Kicked off well in very difficult situation, obviously, and to make a play like that was huge, and obviously it was a big spark for us. Big spark because we punched it in.
Is there any more of an open competition there at all this week, or is Hugel still clear?
No, Hugel's the guy. Hugel's the guy, and again, there's competition every day. You still have to perform, but he hasn't done anything to lose his job. So everybody's under the gun all the time, all of us. Every week we get an evaluation, so there's no lifetime. I don't have a lifetime contract, and neither does any of the players. Every game, every season, we're all under evaluation.
Kevin Dodd's a guy who had to wait his time. How happy is it to see him get some recognition and make some big plays for you?
Well, I just think it's great. And again, I've mentioned Kevin a couple times. He's a great example to the team. He's a great example to the media. The guys develop. Guys get better. He's a great example to us in recruiting. And, you know, not everybody is Sammy Watkins as a freshman. We have such a terrible mentality in our culture out there that, you know, all of a sudden the guy's not some great player. He was highly recruited or whatever. Now he's not a great player. He's not just like, you know, All-American status after 4 games. Well, he's not a good player. Something's wrong. You know, and there's this culture out there in the recruiting world and in football. And, you know, Kevin is just such a great example that guys get better. You know, guys develop. And he was a guy that we really took simply on potential. He really wasn't a very good player. He just had potential. I mean, it's hard to coach size. He had size, he had athleticism, but he really wasn't a very good football player. And he had to develop academically too. You know, he had to go to prep school. He's redshirted here. So, I mean, he's like a 5th-year junior, you know, and it's just fun to see, you know, guys get better. And then he's come in here, and it's not that he wasn't a good player. It's just that, you know, Vic Beasley, Tavares Barnes, Corey Crawford, you know, the Malachi Goodmans. I mean, there's just been a lot of guys in front of him that he's had to be patient. And so for some guys it comes sooner than others. You know, I'm proud of O'Donnell because he never, you know, quit believing in himself. He continued to prepare and learn from others. You know, being in the meetings, just knowing what to do. And, you know, we saw it. We saw his development, even though he, you know, like last year, he played some, not a lot. But we really felt like, man, this kid is ready to be a good football player. And that's just what happens, you know, and that's what's great about college football to me is because guys that they have to leave. And so, you know, you just get to see the development and the transformation. You know, in the pros, you don't really get that. You know, you either can or you can't. And if you can't, they just get you on out of there. Not a lot of development. But in college football, you know, every now and then you get some guys that just show up, and the moment they get here, man, they're just great. But that's not usually the case. So I'm proud of Kevin. He's been player of the game for us twice in 4 games. And he's ACC Defensive Lineman of the Week. And he's just scraping the surface of what he can do, because what you're seeing now is he's getting the fruits of his labor. And so his confidence is just going to grow and grow and grow. And the more confidence you get, the faster you get, the more physical you get, the harder you work at it. And that's what you're going to see with Kev.
What's the status of Ryan Norton, and with the way Jay Guillermo's played, has he made a push to keep that starting job?
Ryan is better. He just watching him yesterday, he's really improving, getting better. He's still out this week. You know, we're hopeful that BC he'll be back. But you know, with the amount of time that he's been out, and then the performance of Jay, yeah, I mean Jay has you know, regardless of who runs out there and starts or whatever, you know, we'll evaluate that through practice. But you know, Jay's not going anywhere. And hopefully Ryan gets back, and that just makes us better. Ryan Norton is a really good football player, really good player. He was a starter for a reason, not because we just like him. He's a starter because he earned it, and he makes us a better team. So to be able to get him back and to have he and Jay, and both those guys can play guard too, you know, so it just gives us much better depth as we move forward. But I can't say enough good things about Jay and the job that he's done in being ready. There's another guy. He wasn't even at spring practice. You know, and I mean, heck, we weren't really expecting anything. We were just hoping that this kid would kind of, you know, get himself back on the right track and you know, get refocused on and off the field, and he's done that. So really, really proud of him.
How about the rest of the team, health-wise?
In good shape. In good shape. You know, we had Austin Bryant was the only one that got a little banged up, but he should be. I think they're going to brace him up, and you know, should be able to go this week.
You alluded to it after the game, and you've kind of touched on it a little bit here.
But I get the sense now that this is a team that you know what you've got every week.
Well, they're a team that'll show up. I mean, yeah, they won't quit. They'll fight. We haven't been perfect, but they haven't flinched. They've just continued to play. I mean, I'm telling you, that's about as bad as I've seen us play defensively in a long time, that fourth quarter. And we gave it 200-plus yards. And, again, it's not like they were competitive plays. I mean, these are 4-yard completions that go for 40 yards. And we're in an 8-man zone. And we got one guy playing man. I mean, just really mental busts. It's the most mental errors we've had. Some very, very correctable things. But to see us, overcome and just keep fighting and just kind of, all right, let's win this play. That mentality, I think that's great for our football team. That's a great sign. Same thing offensively. We've had some strange circumstances. And to see these guys, battle, run the football, watch what Wayne Gallman has done, to see what we've been able to do in the offensive line at this point after 4 games. I'm proud of our team to see, what we've done in special teams. I mean, we've made some big kicks, we've made some big punts, we've had some big coverage, we've had some huge returns. I mean, nobody, Artavis Scott had 128 yards in kick return the other night. 128. I mean, that's almost a field and a half. I mean, that's a lot of yards, man. And you talk about impacting the game and the field position and all that type of stuff. So I like our team. Like I said, we gotta put people away. A double-digit lead in our last 2 games, and we give up the kick return to let a team back in, and then we give up a couple of just really bad big plays on defense, let them back in. So hopefully that's where we can kind of grow up a little bit. But having said that, to be able to win in the fourth quarter like we have this early in the season, I think our last 11 games that have come down to 7 points or less, close games, we're 10-1, in those games. And I'm talking about against some people now, not sisters of the poor. I mean people, okay? And that's what I like. I like the guts. I like the heart. Guys that'll compete. It's not always going to be perfect, but will you line up and compete, no matter what? And our team has demonstrated that. And I like how they've prepared. They've gotten themselves ready each and every week. So I think after 4 games, that's the one thing that we can kind of hang our hat on is that, hey, these guys are serious about winning. And if we can continue to have that type of mentality, we're going to get better. We're not a national championship team. And guess what? We don't have to be on October the 6th. We just got to be a better team than Georgia Tech this weekend. That's what we need to do. We got to find a way to beat Georgia Tech. And that is our focus, and improve on the mistakes that we've made and build on the positives that we've had, because there's been a ton of them through this first 4 games.
Andy Teasdall averaged 42 yards a punt in those conditions the other night. What do you think about his play and what he's done so far this year?
Yeah, I think he averaged 43. I think it's what he had, 43. But he, just clutch. Clutch. He's done a great job. The punt up there at Louisville, we wanted that sucker out of bounds. We wanted no return. He did his job there. In those conditions, to be able to punt the football like that, had a really good returner. That number 9 for them, for Notre Dame, had just taken one to the house against UMass. We knew he was a dangerous kid, and he did a great job hanging that ball up and not giving him any opportunities. He had one right there at the end. We were able to make the tackle, but I'm proud of Andy. He's done it, and not just Andy Teasdall. How about Jim Brown? Our entire battery is new. New snapper, new holder. Seth Ryan did a fantastic job. Get with his holds. Everything's new. The whole battery: punter, snapper, holder, kicker. And I'm very pleased with what we've been able to do with those guys. But that was a big part of the game. We flipped the field. He had 2 50-plus yard punts in the game. I think his long was like 54, and we had we had 4 inside the 20, maybe 5 inside the 20, counting our pooch punt with Greg.
Coach, I've already seen T-shirts on social media with "Bring Your Own Guts" on the shirts and stuff. Did you get a chance to notice over the last few days that phrase kind of caught on not only with your fan base but nationally?
Yeah, because they're all my friends, texting me hashtag BYOG or whatever. It's just so stupid. I mean, I'm really not that interesting. I'm really not. My wife would be the first one to tell you that. It just is kind of weird to me that, something that you just say, somebody, but that's great, whatever. But that's what I told the team. I mean, that was the message for the game. We give you all these things. We give you scholarships and all this stuff, but we can't give you guts, man. Can't give you heart. I mean, you guys got to bring that on your own. I mean, that's just the way it is. And this is a big boy game. And, there was a lot of challenges, and there's going to be challenges this week, and that's just the way this game is. That's why football players are in all shapes and sizes. I mean, you got little bitty guys that don't look like they could play a lick, but they're the baddest guy in between the lines. That's what I told Adam Humphries when I said, Adam, you ain't going to make the team at the combine. Quit worrying about that. They ain't inviting you to the combine. But when you get between them lines, those coaches, they'll recognize heart and guts and toughness and competitiveness and will to win and will to prepare and intelligence. All right? They'll recognize that. And those are the things that, we can't give that to them. And that was just, so, that's all it was. You got to bring your own.
Did you ever hear somebody use that phrase?
No, I just was what I told them. And the BYOG just came in my head. There was probably a lot of people bring BYOB, bring your own beer that night too. There was probably a lot of beer being drunk in the parking lots.
That came to you while you were doing that interview? Or
The BYOG? Yeah. I mean, that's just what I thought of. Yeah. I mean, I didn't, BYOG.
That wasn't pre-planned.
No.
See, I figured that was part of your pregame, or at least or maybe even your halftime.
Yeah.
I didn't realize.
Oh, no, it was, I did tell them, you got to bring your own guts. That's what I said. You got to bring your own guts. Bring your own heart. That's it. Have you ever been to our post game? It's insane out there. I don't even know how that gal found me on the field. It was crazy. I barely saw Brian Kelly. I mean, it was just nuts. But
Jeff kind of hinted yesterday, maybe Mike Williams is looking ahead to next season. Is there a report? Could he play by the end of the year? If there was
I have no idea. I'm just like y'all. Just waiting to hear anything. He goes back to the doctor Wednesday. That I know, and he's doing great. I know that. Talked to him last night. Hung out with him out at the practice field a little bit. Visited with him. Like I said, in his mind, he thinks he's going to play, but I have no idea, and he doesn't either. That's just how he thinks. He thinks he's going to play in the national championship game, catch the game-winning pass. But he'll be back at some point. I don't know when it is.
I apologize. You had 16 days off. Did you take maybe a couple of those days to maybe work on Georgia Tech?
No. We work on Georgia Tech all year. And we did have, like I said, we had 2 weeks of camp designated toward Wofford, which a lot of that carries over to Georgia Tech also. So we really felt like we had good preparation as far as what we had done in the spring, what we'd done in camp, because we work defensively. We work on those guys all year. We try to just coach the principles because it's very, very different from just, our base defense. But specifically working against Georgia Tech during the open date, we did not. We did do some work for future opponents, things that we need to go back and we do that all through camp. We kind of install for the season. We put it all in, and so kind of going back over a few things that we know are going to need, we did do.
When you think back to 08, 09, are y'all devoting more time through the year to Tech than you did early on?
Well, I mean, '08, I had 3 days. Yeah. Well, you got to remember, in '08, that was Paul Johnson's first game at Georgia Tech against Clemson. I mean, they were just kind of a normal school as far as philosophy-wise, what you see week in, week out. But, yeah, I think everybody who plays Georgia Tech probably works on them throughout the year. There's no question. I mean, because if you don't want to wait until game week and say, all right, boys, let's get ready for this arc release right here, and how to play cut blocks and how to play with your hands and how to support from the perimeter and not stop and try to catch cut blocks and just fundamental stuff. You better not wait till game week to do that stuff. You're in for a rude awakening. It's just one of our core opponents, obviously, that we got to play every year. And the uniqueness of them kind of forces you to specifically make sure you're preparing certain things. Absolutely.
By the way, you appear to be rather non-lugubrious today.
Non-lugubrious. No, I am not lugubrious. I am, what's the word? I'm happy. I'm happy. I'm effervescent. Is that how you say it? And the story on that, just so you know, because I don't pay attention to that stuff. But J-Ron Curse sent me a text message, and I don't even know what show it was, but he sent me a text message, and he was hot, and he just said, we do a video of the day just about every day, and it can be anything from prison rodeo to crazy people at Walmart to, something inspirational and motivational to the best dunks in the NBA. It can be anything. I mean, it doesn't really matter. I mean, it could be anything on our video of the day. And then I try to figure out some way to pull something that I can use to kind of set the tempo for the day. And so he sent me a text saying that he just basically said, Coach, I want this to be the video of the day. I want the guys to see this. And I didn't even know what it was until I clicked on it. And I got a good laugh out of it because it was, all the experts, with all their opinions. And I just, laugh at that stuff. But the team got a kick out of it. But the thing that was the funniest part to me was the guy who said we'd be lugubrious. And I had never heard that in my life. No clue what that meant. So I had Henry Guest look it up. That's why I didn't know how to spell it, because I didn't look it up. I had Henry look it up, and he told me what it meant to look sad and discontented or whatever, mournful or whatever. And so we had some fun with that. We had some fun with that in our little video of the day that day. And I promised the guys that if I had the opportunity, I would somehow find a way to use that in my post-game vocabulary.
And he did. Hey, going back to Lake, did they ever settle the charges against him? What is his?
Yeah, he did PI, or what do you call it? PTI, and he dropped, all that stuff was dropped, and he handled all of his responsibility, and did all of his community service and all that type of stuff, and he's lucky to have an opportunity to finish out here, and he's been a young man that's I've really never had a problem with. It was very kind of shocking, to be honest with you, dealing with that situation, but I think that he's taken the right path and has grown from it, and hopefully he goes on and can finish out with a good senior year, and like I said, be one of those things that hopefully will become an asset for him moving down the road. He'll grow from it and not let it be a stumbling block the rest of his life.